Welcome everyone back to the In10sity Podcast. I am your host, Stay True 92, here tonight for NXT's review. Quick shout out to atomickevin for the graphics shown and the logo up in the top left corner. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the In10sity Podcast. And without further ado, let's get started with this NXT review. Now, right off the get-go, I want to say, watching this NXT show tonight, man, I just, looking at the main roster and how it's operated, how it's booked, and watching NXT tonight, it's a thing like, it's obvious, of course, but it's just like, it's two different worlds, It's ridiculous that NXT is, of course, a third brand of WWE, basically. And, Triple H, man, the work, the way he operates NXT, the way he books his talent, it really baffles my mind, man. Like, honestly, every single week that I watch NXT, and especially the takeovers of how they blow the roof out of the fucking arenas, man. Like, and then watching the fucking mediocre B level, not even B, cutting some slack to the main roster's pay-per-views. The fucking C level pay-per-views on the main roster, and how well takeovers are, handled, booked. You know what I mean? Like, it's baffling, because, and the only reason I say this is because I want everyone to know that I love WWE. I might critique, criticize, bitch and moan, whatever you want to call it that I'm doing, but I love WWE. The reason why, you hear me complaining about these things and whatnot, it's because I love the product. I love WWE. I grew up watching WWE. I want to see WWE succeed. I want WWE to be about wrestling again, And I know that's far-fetched, It's like a long shot for the main roster right now under Vince's hands. But I'm more than positive that's a lot of people's, desire to see this show, NXT, the main roster be booked the same way as NXT. That is proof with tonight's main event on NXT between Ricochet and Pete Dunne, champion versus champion, okay? North American title on the line, as well as Pete Dunne's United Kingdom championship on the line. Winner take all. Could you imagine, the matches being the way that, like tonight on NXT, being like Ricochet versus Pete Dunne on the main roster? Just imagine, 3 hours of Raw. We all know it's exhausting. If WWE has this tendency to think that, quality, at least the main roster, it's quality over, quantity over quality. The more content out there, the better. Obviously, that's not the case. As you see, the quality of the pay-per-views on the main roster, and the main roster itself is not as great as NXT. And with all these shows, all these pay-per-views, it just overbooked, overload of content. You have Super Showdown, you have the WWE Women's Evolution and Crown Jewel pay-per-view, all in just a mere, I think, month. And, it's crazy to see, how well NXT every week, man. Every week it just hits a home run. You know, this show is marvelous. You know, this is what we want. This is what we want WWE to be as a whole, not just NXT, but the whole company, main roster, kind of thing. You know, it's of course, you know, that's only going to change until Vince, you know, steps down, and hopefully, of course, you know, Triple H takes over and puts this company back to, you know, to prominence, you know, like put it on top, you know, on the radar. And because right now, you know, WWE might be making all this money, might be having all these pay-per-views, all this talent, but you know, what is it good for if you can't keep your viewers wanting to come back for more the next week? You know, as far as the main roster, of course. You know, that's the thing about the WWE. And seeing how well these people are handled down in NXT, it's not exciting anymore to see these superstars be called up to the main roster. I mean, I am dreading the day that Velveteen Dream gets called up to the main roster. I cannot tell you. Like, seriously. Can you imagine Velveteen Dream up in the main roster? The way he is, how comedic he comes off, but serious at the same time in NXT, you know, and bring the fucking A game that he always brings. Can you imagine Velveteen Dream in Vince's hands? Fuck. For all I know, he's gonna be booked in tag team matches with probably Goldust. I would not put it past Vince that if he gets his hands on Velveteen Dream coming up on the main roster, that is what's gonna happen. And what then? You know, all this work that Triple H does. Example, Sanity, Ty Dillinger, The Ascension. You know, like it's sad. You know, it's scary. It's fucking scary, man. You know, it's scary that these talents are going to at some point down the near future come up to the main roster, and that's like I said before. You know, it's more of a demotion than a promotion. It's fucking sad. It's baffling. You know, and I really don't want to see the day that they get called up on the main roster, because they're not going to be handled well most of the time. You know, at least Andrade is, you know, because of course Vince likes him, you know, and he's in dire need of a, you know, Latin superstar. Of course, you know, but other than himself, you know, Finn Balor, you know, where is he now? Nothing but a fucking Mick Carter, you know, faced fucking Baron Corbin like 20 fucking thousand times in 2018 in the past 2 months, you know? Like it's, you know, it's very sad to see these awesome talents being fucking built up to be fucking amazing in NXT, and then they're just forgotten once they get called up to the main roster. And my biggest one being Bobby Roode, of how fucking amazing this guy is as a heel, and he is demoted, just you know, fucking destroyed, rendered as a fucking baby face. Way out of his fucking comfort zone. Not saying that he's not doing a great job. I don't personally fucking care for his babyface run, because I know that he works better as a fucking heel. You know, but you know what are you gonna do? You know, let's just hope that, you know, Triple H at some point takes care of you know, takes over WWE's main roster as well, and brings this company back up to what I know it can be. Anyways, so we have the championship match between Ricochet and Pete Dunne, champion versus champion. You know, Ricochet's North American Championship and Pete Dunne's UK Championship on the line. First thing that was announced as the show started. And we start off with Dakota Kai and Deonna Purrazzo versus Lacey Evans and Aaliyah. Now, I personally had the honor to meet Deonna Purrazzo last Friday at a NXT house show here in Tampa. And, man, let me tell you, I'll definitely keep you guys updated on, first look on superstars that are trying to come up, and be televised on NXT tapings for the network. I've seen the likes of the Forgotten Sons way before they debuted on the TV, on NXT TV. I've seen the likes of Lacey Evans. I've seen the likes of Dakota Kai. I have seen plenty of superstars of talent in NXT house shows. Like I said yesterday, I found out who Andrade was 2 years ago, on an NXT house show here in Tampa as well. And he faced Sami Zayn. And he lost, but, I was sold. And from that day on, I've said that this guy will be nothing but a fucking superstar. He will be big. He will be huge. And here he is, doing great for himself. It's fucking amazing talent. So, and also Patrick Clark, Patrick Clark, a.k.a. Velveteen Dream. I've seen this guy last year, early last year. He was still Patrick Clark. And to see where he came from to what he is now, and it's awesome. It's amazing to see these talents, seasoned, being seasoned down in NXT and being built for success, and how well they're doing down in NXT. It's very awesome. I'm very lucky to be able to attend all these house shows and be able to see these talents come up before they debut on NXT on the network. But yeah, so it's the Dakota Kai and Deonna Purrazzo versus Lacey Evans and Aaliyah. Now, Aaliyah, as of recent, I believe she has turned heel. It's got a mean streak going on now. I have to say, Aaliyah, man, I don't know. She's been on NXT for a while now. I think she's decent. I don't think she's, anything out of the fucking norm. She's just, she's nothing extravagant, but I like this heel turn of her. I like this mean streak side of her. I think it'll do well for her. I believe that it did the same for Lacey Evans. I think she works more. She's better as a heel, because I saw her as a face. I had the honor as well to see her on NXT house shows, and before she turned heel, she was a face throughout her whole NXT house show run before debuting on NXT on the network on the Mae Young Classic last year. But yeah, so they started off, Lacey showing her athletic ability, and Deonna goes for the Fujiwara armbar. Lacey escapes, and she hits a forearm to the back of her head. Aaliyah with a mean streak. She, like I mentioned, this mean streak of her, I think it'll do good for her in the long run. Hopefully, it works. I don't think she went anywhere as a face, but I believe that this heel turn might do wonders for her. She was grabbing on Deonna Purrazzo's hair, pulling it from the outside. She went all the way up to the 4 count. And Evans and Aaliyah double team on Purrazzo, taking advantage of the distraction because Dakota Kai was trying to come in and try to, I guess come in for Aaliyah and to come to Deonna's rescue. And Deonna takes a knee to the stomach, and 2 face washes from Dakota Kai. 2 hell of a kick kind of kicks. You know how she runs around from one corner and to the other, and then she goes ahead and hits the boot to the face of her opponent. And the count is broken by Lacey, and Aaliyah brings Dakota all the way to the corner of her corner where Lacey Evans is, and she does a blind tag, and Dakota doesn't see it, and Lacey hits the women's strike to Dakota Kai for the win. You know, that was that. And then backstage, they are interviewing Velveteen Dream, and the interviewers are asking him, how has the Dream carried his momentum after beating EC3 a month ago? And he says, Velveteen Dream says he's been carrying that momentum and has beaten Johnny Gargano, with it, or in this instance, Johnny Failure. And then they ask him, they tell him that, they all know that he's been questioned by Regal in regards of who attacked Black. And the Dream says, are you asking questions to the Dream that's not about the Dream? And then he says, get a clue. And then he walks away. Then we have Humberto Carrillo versus Jackson Ryker. Now, like I said, Jackson Ryker is part of the Forgotten Sons. He was Gunner, I believe, back in TNA. I think TNA. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, I got to see this guy as well. He later joined the Forgotten Sons. It was only Steve Cutler and what's his name? Murphy, I believe. Yes, Blake Murphy. Yes. He joined later on. Joined the Forgotten Sons later on, but this was his match, and it was a one-sided one at that. Pretty much Ryker dominating the whole match. He tosses Humberto, and then he face plants him, and then later on in the match, Humberto goes for a top rope move, which is he went for a crossbody, and Ryker hits him with a double axe handle as he came down, then grabs him and does a slingshot powerbomb for the win. Now, that was a pretty cool move. I have not seen that ever in WWE. I think it's a pretty unique move. I like Gunner. I like his look. I think he'll do well in NXT. I really like the Forgotten Sons. Like I said, I've seen him plenty of times, and I think this trio will do well, and I believe they will. Actually, I think that they will be a very interesting team to put against the Shield. Because right now, the Shield has no one really to, I guess, feud with when it comes to a stable. Because I can't really take the Dogs of War seriously. But this will be an amazing, not amazing, but I think this tag team this trio will be interesting to see face the Shield outside of course, the Undisputed Era, which, my God, I think that match will be excellent. And I will be taking Undisputed Era side, no doubt about it. So, yeah, Candice LeRae is questioned backstage by William Regal back in his office, and he's questioning, whether possibly, her husband, which is Johnny Gargano, might have attacked Black. And she's explaining to him that, she thinks it could have been Ciampa, but Regal explains to her that, we've already, looked at tapes, we've tried to look for evidence, but it doesn't say, that there's anything that Ciampa has done to knock out Black. And then they show EC3, and he was interviewed a month ago, I believe, and they asked him who might have attacked Black, and he said, well, Lars is probably the primary suspect because, he got his jaw broken by Black, so he might have just gotten, attacked Black just to get a cheap shot, So, and then they show him 3 weeks ago, which is a week after that interview, a backstage interview, and he was attacked by Lars. So that was that. And then we go on to the main event, which was Ricochet versus Pete Dunne for, champion versus champion match. This match was seriously and easily, this match could have main evented a takeover. It could easily have main evented any main roster pay-per-view, point blank. This match, from the beginning to the end, was absolutely amazing. I love, and I cannot tell you how much I love Pete Dunne. I love this guy's work. He's unique. He comes off as this fucking prick. His facial expressions are fucking phenomenal. I love that grin on his face, that smirk. Everything about Pete Dunne just speaks fucking champion to me. I would even go as far as to fucking put him as a fucking Universal or WWE champion. I like him that much, and I believe in his work that much that he could carry a company behind his back. I really think so. Because this guy is excellent. His work is excellent. I love everything. His moves, his bending of the fucking fingers, that shit is fucking, oh my God, man. Like, that never gets old, Yeah, that shit is fucking awesome. But, so, highlights of the match. It was a hard forearm to Ricochet. Those forearms, man. Pete Dunne. Out of all the people that uses the forearm strikes, Pete Dunne does it the best. He's, that's the guy to go to see fucking convince you, to sell you that those fucking strikes are like hard hitting, legit. But, yeah, so they go throughout the match, they go on and trying to one up another, if you can do, I could do better kind of thing. And there's a point where Ricochet does a suicida, and then the Pete goes ahead and works on the fingers. And man, I'm telling you, that shit is fucking awesome. The way he does it, it looks so convincing, man. And for everyone, even for myself, make believe, that shit looks it looks painful as fuck, It's amazing the way he does it. Sells you too fucking well on that. Then Ricochet, he hits a 619 on the corner of the turnbuckle from the outside, and then he hits a flying uppercut from the top rope for a 2 count. And then Ricochet rolls from a corner, and he rolls and leaps off, and Pete Dunne catches him in midair for an armbar. And then when Ricochet finally escapes, my goodness, man, Pete Dunne, he steps on both of his hands, and he stomps them. And then at one instance, he, keeps his foot on one of his hands, and he continuously stomps on it. And man, I'm telling you, this guy is amazing. Like, his heel persona, and honestly, he's just too likable to be a heel, you know? I know he's a heel, but the crowd, it's like an Eddie Guerrero-esque kind of thing, Like, the guy does heel things, but you can't help to love him. And not even, like Tommaso Ciampa. Like, Tommaso Ciampa's fucking heel work is fucking excellent. I can't not cheer for him, I just adore I love, and I appreciate his fucking heel work. And Pete Dunne is, no different, And then Pete Dunne goes for X-Plex. And then he tries to go for a bitter end, but is countered, and Ricochet hits a step up enziguri to knock Pete off of the ring. And then he hits a springboard to a fucking devastating DDT for a close 2 count. And then they're in the corner on the turnbuckle, and they're both Pete Dunne is standing on the post on the turnbuckle, and Ricochet stands on the top rope, and he does a Frankensteiner from there. And my God, that fucking looked amazing, man. And then Pete Dunne goes ahead and locks a triangle lock. Goes ahead and puts a triangle lock after Ricochet jumps onto Pete Dunne. Ricochet manages to get on his feet, and he powers him up, lifts him, and hits a power bomb. And then Dunne takes control again and works on extending the fingers, but this time Ricochet deadlifts Dunne into a vertical suplex, and man, that looked fucking awesome. And then they continue on the match, and then all of a sudden you hear the people booing and all, and then you already know this match, there couldn't, we already knew, that this match was not going to end with a winner. Undisputed Era came in and attacked both Pete Dunne and Ricochet. Played spoiler. And after that came out War Raiders. And they fended off the Undisputed Era. And then they went on to chase them backstage. And then the camera pans back to Ricochet and Pete Dunne. And they're given their titles by the refs. And this match, man, honestly, like I said, could have main evented easily a takeover, and and even more so a main roster pay-per-view. And like I said, these guys put on a hell of a work. What's not to appreciate them? Like it's Ricochet, for crying out loud, and it's Pete Dunne. Every talent in NXT feels. Like they Triple H brings out the very best of them, out of them, and you just can't help but to appreciate it all, But yeah, so I will be attending NXT house shows. I will be taking pictures. I'll be taking short clips if it's possible. I'll be showing you guys on here, and so yeah. Guys, go ahead and leave a comment below. Tell me what you think in regards to the podcast. Let me know what else you want to see, any ideas. Please leave a like and subscribe and turn on the bell for all notifications. I appreciate you tuning in. And I will see you next week for Monday Night Raw's review. Until then, be safe, have a good night, and I'll talk to you later.